We get out, Puff pull out first. We pull out behind him. He blow past the light. We stopped at the light. When we stopped at the light, I see some chicks like, on the curb. Before you know it, a car just rolled up, start popping in the car. Just pop, 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 pop. Everybody got down in the truck. So that shit stopped. You know, we all hopped out. Everybody door open but Big door.
Something gotta change. I don't give a if Pac gotta die, Big gotta die, or Suge Knight go to jail.
Puffy has been making money off of Biggie's name for longer than Biggie was alive. People keep forgetting he hadn't turned 25 yet. He was still 24 when he died. It's been over 25 years. Clearly, a Biggie Smalls verse is very valuable. So then what happened to the commission? What happened to that album?
While the murder of hip-hop legend Notorious B.I.G. has been written off as one of those unsolvable cases because of the controversies tied to it, his mother, Voletta Wallace, has now come out with some shocking secrets about what actually went down. Now, the woman has openly come out to accuse music mogul Diddy of not just lying about how the rapper passed away, but also having something to do with it. Could this be the missing piece that finally puts the case to rest? And how exactly did Diddy's name come into the mix? Let's find out together. On the 20th anniversary of her son's death, Voletta Wallace, who is known as the matriarch of the hip-hop industry, has made a significant statement. In an interview with the Daily Mail, she expressed her ongoing pain and grief over the loss of her son. The famous Biggie Smalls Voletta revealed that she still feels the hurt of never seeing her son again and that it's difficult for her to accept that his killer has not yet been brought to justice. Her statement was filled with emotion as she shared her feelings on the matter. "I have a very good idea who murdered Christopher, and I genuinely believe that the LAPD know exactly who did too. They've done their investigation, but they just refuse to move forward. I don't know why they haven't arrested who was involved. It seems to me that it's one giant conspiracy and someone is definitely being protected somewhere down the line. There's no closure for me until that murderer is behind bars and sentenced." A lot of fans who still have hope about the case also showed their support for Miss Wallace, saying, "I hope Miss Wallace builds the strength to reopen the case and get the justice she deserves." Besides the star's mother, his wife Faith Evans also made some claims of her own.
Well, we know he was murdered, but we believe that the LAPD knows who's responsible.
Although these assertions may not hold up in a court of law, Gene Deal has also shared comparable insights regarding the case at hand. He has claimed that it was his fraternity brother who facilitated his meeting with Miss Wallace.
Crying, she said, "They keep telling me Gene Deal, Gene Deal. Who is Gene Deal?" And my frat brother like, "Miss Wallace, that's my frat brother. I'll call him right now."
Furthermore, Gene Deal stated that Miss Wallace inquired with Puffy about him, but Puffy quickly denied any knowledge of him.
She said she had been looking for me because the police had told her, ask Gene Deal, ask Gene Deal. And she asked Puffy who Gene Deal was, and Puff said, "I don't know no."
The former president of Bad Boy Records, Kurt Biros, has also put more gasoline in this already brewing fire. He revealed that Biggie was actually slated to travel to London for a journalist meet and greet.
Leave that early morning, go to London, and we would be out there for 2 or 3 days, and then he would go back to New York and go home.
But the rapper ultimately pulled the plug on the plan, stating he wanted to spend the night in LA, a night that became his ultimate demise.
Sean, P. Diddy, whatever his name was during that time, called late Friday night. "Go. You represent it. You go."
Fans who were shocked about the cancellation of the London show even took to social media to show their displeasure. "I still have my London ticket for 1997. I remember being shocked that the concert was canceled and that he was going to LA instead." Talking about the facts on the table, another fan said, "So let me get this right. Puff said B.I.G. wasn't going to London after all the money Clive Davis spent on him there. Also went there a week earlier. Then Puff kept him there where he lost his life." Vows. That's not all. Following Tupac's death, Puffy had allegedly premeditated Biggie's murder and showed no remorse for it.
Something gotta change. I don't give a if Pac gotta die, Big gotta die, or Suge Knight go to jail.
It's almost like fans were actively waiting for these details to get out, as many of them immediately took to social media to give their views. He for sure put a hit on Pac and Biggie. Their deaths were way too similar, and Diddy knew he could take over Biggie's record label. Diddy is a joke, but the situation was made worse by the fact that Biggie's mother was left in the dark by the authorities, who only told her to ask Gene Deal if she wanted to know what had happened that night. When she reached out to Bad Boy for information about Gene, Puffy denied knowing him, seemingly going against their previous agreement.
Me and Puff had said a long time ago that
if anything ever go down, don't tell nobody my name in the whole.
However, Puffy was following the rules as he provided Gene's name to all the law enforcement agencies involved in the case.
If you're going to tell the LAPD my name, if you're going to tell the FBI, you're going to tell any law enforcement people my name, you understand? You might as well tell Big Mama my name.
But as you can imagine, our favorite record CEO did not tell Biggie's mother, and here's why.
He knew that I was going to tell Ms. Wallace all what happened, because he know I exchanged.
Additionally, Gene became suspicious of Diddy's role in Biggie's death when he pushed Diddy's arms away from him. Despite Diddy's outward display of grief over Biggie's passing, Gene felt that something was off. He described his final interaction with Diddy in the following way.
Is when he grabbed both of my arms. Gene, we gotta pray, we gotta pray. And I pushed that nigga arms off me and I said, yo, pray for what? That nigga.
This encounter strongly suggests that Diddy had a guilty conscience. But that's not all. Despite not having any further meetings with Diddy, Gene willingly shared the details of Biggie's final moments and the things that he found suspicious. According to the former Bad Boy member, Biggie did not want to attend the vibe party, but Puffy convinced him to do so.
It seemed like Big wasn't gonna go to the vibe party. But every day, man, you going to the vibe party? We gonna do that. We gotta go there, man. We gotta go to the vibe party. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go there.
At the time, Gene was already aware that if someone had planned to attack Biggie, the vibe party would have been the most opportune place to do so. Gene also disclosed that Diddy had made arrangements in advance to avoid riding with the Juicy rapper in order to remain in a safer area. I told your driver Kenny to run the next 3 lights. Kenny ran the light. VIG stopped at the light. VIG got killed. While running the red light may be considered not very suspicious, on the other hand, putting the SUV in park tells you everything.
If you waiting at the light, you don't put the car in park, especially after your friends them have blew the light.
Gene also clarified that among gang members, there is a shared understanding that if there are multiple vehicles, all members must follow the lead driver.
Everybody know it's follow the leader. Shouldn't have to tell any grown-ass man that's driving that if I run the light, you run the light. We all run the light.
However, even if the driver had stopped at the red light, why did he put the car in park? Even under normal circumstances, it would be uncommon to park a car while waiting at a light, let alone when you were a member of a gang and a murder like Tupac's had taken place just a few months earlier.
You at a light, pow, and that shit is close to you. Do you put your foot on the gas or you throw it in park?
Well, according to Gene, Diddy's reach goes far beyond just gang members, as reports have also revealed that the record label executive has influence with the NYPD as well.
So they showed me a picture of the Muslim guy, and his face was blurred out in front of my lawyer.
While Gene revealed that he's identified the crooked officers that might have been in bed with Diddy, he claims the force never got back to him after he identified them.
I said, that's the guy right there who walked up to the car. They said they was going to straighten out the face of the picture, come back out to New York. I never heard from them again.
This exact claim was backed by the FBI agent Phil Carson as well. So far, fans seem to be on the same page with Gene and his version of the events that took place that night. Puffy did it, no doubt. Why did he leave Cali literally the day after it happened and ditch the rest of his crew? Why did he ride separately when he always used to ride with Big? Why was it so important for Gene to ride with Puffy? You either get in or you'll never work for Bad Boy again. Why was the car already parked on the side of the road waiting for Biggie to pull up? And why was it so damn important to be in Cali in the first place, 6 months after Pac's death, with barely any security? Puff got some explaining to do, but the story doesn't end there. Gene wrote a book to reveal everything that had occurred that night and how Diddy was involved. He even secured a publishing contract for the book.
My book was supposed to be going in, all of a sudden, after giving me a contract for $75,000, cutting me a check for $25,000, we got down to the last week.
Puffy contacted the same publishing house to write and publish his own book in an attempt to prevent Gene's book from being released. Despite this effort, Gene's book was ultimately published.
And a deal for $1 million that he put out his book and he never put it out.
According to Biggie's mother, right from the beginning, she's had a bad feeling about her son's involvement with the record exec. That's only where it begins, as her book Biggie, Valletta Wallace remembers her son. Christopher is pretty much a deep dive into it. The truth is, Christopher accepted the illusion of a friend and mentor for about $25,000. That's the amount Puffy lured my son with. That was a lot of money for Christopher back then as a 19-year-old. He had never seen that much at one time in his life. It was enough money to make my son believe that Puffy was ready to do anything for him. It was enough to buy a blind love and loyalty. Moreover, Gene believed that his book, which contained the truth, was delayed due to racism. he encountered several legal issues while trying to get his book published. In contrast, the white FBI agent, Phil Carson, who also released his version of the truth, did not face similar obstacles.
He just came out. See, it's all right for them white boys, you understand, to do their 20 years and then come out with books.
As a result of his book, which recounted his version of the events, Gene lost his job. Additionally, he had to attend several court hearings to reclaim it.
The same shit, and I lost my job, and I went through 6 arbitration hearings to get it back.
It's baffling how Phil Carson is being lauded for saying the same thing that Gene repeatedly stated and suffered consequences for. Nevertheless, fans fully support Gene's consistent narrative and anticipate Puffy's downfall when a more influential figure enters the industry. I followed Gene's consistently told story. My opinions went from Puffy being negligent to it's a huge possibility that he truly knew or had something to do with Big's assassination. We have a right to know these things. Big was a public figure and we're the public. It's a well-known fact that COINTELPRO uses and protects entertainers like your Jay-Z's and Puffys for sinister reasons against us. It's also a well-known fact that when the powers have used them up, the protection goes away. I predict that when someone else comes along, maybe younger with more influence, then Puffy will be held accountable. That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye.